This will be for the con exercise, absolute value equations. All right, so they're asking, what are the solutions of the following equation? All right, and the choices are all x equals, so we're solving for x. All right, so we have this equation, and the goal here is to isolate the absolute value. Okay, you want to get the absolute value by itself on one side of the equal sign, and then you have everything else on the other side of the equal sign. All right, so first, we're really solving for absolute value of 3x. So here we have a positive 8. The opposite of positive 8 is negative 8. All right, you want to apply that to both sides of the equal sign. 8 minus 8 is gone. Negative 10 minus 8 is negative 18. And that equals negative 2 times the absolute value of 3x. All right, again, we're trying to isolate the absolute value. This is the absolute value of 3x times negative 2. The opposite of times negative 2 is divided by negative 2. You want to do that to both sides. On the right-hand side, it cancels. Negative 18 divided by negative 2 is 9. And that equals the absolute value of 3x. Now, once you remove the absolute value, what you do is make this side plus or minus, because the absolute value will make it positive. So if the part inside equals 9 or negative 9, it's going to be the same thing. All right, so the final step, the final two steps really, is to remove the absolute value, and then on the other side, make it plus minus. Other side of the equal sign, you want to make it plus minus. All right, so those are the steps we're going to do. I'm going to need to erase this so I have some room to work. Okay, so removing the absolute value, this is just going to equal 3x, and the 9 becomes both plus and minus 9. All right, you can make it two equations if you want, but we really don't need to. This is x times 3. The opposite of times 3 is divided by 3. The 3's cancel, and 9 divided by 3 is 3. We still have the plus or minus. So that equals x. Final answer. Okay, if you want, we can say that x equals 3, and also x equals negative 3. Okay, that's probably how it will be listed in the choices, but same thing. All right, so when I divided plus minus 9 by the 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3, but you still have the plus minus. So there's really two solutions, 3 and negative 3, because the absolute value will make this negative 9 into a positive 9. Answer B, 3 or negative 3. All right, what are the solutions to the following equation? And all the answers are x equals, so we're solving for x. Now, even though we're solving for x, we first want to solve for whatever is in the absolute value bars. Okay, so we want to get the absolute value by itself on one side of the equal sign. We want to get this part and the absolute value by itself. We see the absolute value is times negative 3. The opposite of times negative 3 is divided by negative 3. You want to do that to both sides. It cancels here. And we're left with the absolute value of negative 6x plus 7. And that is going to equal negative 4. Now, it is tempting to keep going and make this plus or minus 4. However, absolute value can never equal negative 4. Okay, whatever is inside the absolute value, that has to be greater than or equal to 0. An absolute value can never produce a negative. So this here has no solution. All right, because the absolute value cannot be negative. Answer D, there are no solutions. All right, so we have this absolute value equation. As always, we want the absolute value on one side by itself. We want it on one side of the equal sign, and then you solve for x. We see the absolute value is, we have a minus 5 from the absolute value. The opposite of minus 5 is plus 5. 5 minus 5 is gone, and it's gone here as well. The absolute value of 2x plus 9 equals 5 minus 5 canceled, so that's 0. Now, can an absolute value equal 0? Yes, it can. Do you have to do plus or minus on 0? No, you do not. Okay, so as long as this part inside is equal to 0, then it works, because the absolute value of 0 is still 0. Okay, so we can remove the absolute value, but we don't have to do plus minus because we have it equal to 0. All right, 2x plus 9, the opposite is minus 9. You do that to both sides. 9 minus 9 cancels. Bring down the 2x. All right, instead of bringing it down there, I'll bring it right here. And that equals 0 minus 9, which is negative 9. Finally, we have x times 2. The opposite of times 2 is divided by 2. And the 2 is gone. X is negative 9 over 2. Answer C, negative 9 over 2. All right, last one. You want to set the absolute value equal to whatever. You want to get it by itself. So we want this by itself. The opposite of minus 6 is plus 6. You want to do that to both sides of the equal sign. 6 minus 6 is gone. Absolute value of negative 9x minus 5 equals, and 2 plus 6 is just 8. Now that we have this by itself, we're going to remove the absolute value and do plus or minus on the other side. So it's negative 9x minus 5, and that equals plus or minus 8. Okay? Now in this case, we're going to, instead of just doing plus minus, we're going to have to make it two equations. All right, so what I'm going to do, on this side, I'll keep it positive. All right, so let's just make this positive 8. And then on the other side, I'll do the negative. So on this side, negative 9x minus 5 equals negative 8. Okay, notice I kept the part inside the absolute value the same. I didn't change that. I changed plus minus on the other side of the equal sign. So now we have two equations to solve. Solving for x, the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. 5 minus 5 is gone. Bring down your negative 9x. And that equals 8 plus 5, which is 13. Here we have negative 9 times x, or x times negative 9. The opposite is divided by negative 9. And the negative 9's cancel. X is 13 over negative 9, which is the same thing as negative 13 over 9. That is one answer. Now for the other one, we have negative 8. The opposite of negative 5, because we're solving for x, the opposite of minus 5 is plus 5. 5 minus 5 is gone. Bring down your negative 9x. And that equals, bring down your equals, negative 8 plus 5 is negative 3. And here we have x times negative 9. The opposite of times negative 9 is divided by negative 9. Cancels here. X equals negative 3 over negative 9, which is the same as 3/9. If you reduce that, 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So the positive 3/9 reduces to 1/3. All right, so two solutions, negative 13 over 9 and 1/3. Answer A, negative 13 over 9 and 1/3. All right, so just remember when you remove the absolute value, you make the other side plus or minus, and you're going to have two answers unless it's equal to 0 or a negative.